Oh, what's up, man?
What's up? How's it going?
I'm good.
Just wanted to see how you could level up your fit to my fit.
First of all, Damian Sanford already said his fit was better than both of ours, but yours is not as good as mine. His is not as good as mine. I have the best fit. I've been complimented the most at this place so far, so there's that.
What's going on, everyone? This is the Aggie Game Day Extra podcast. I'm senior Texas A&M sports writer Travis Brown over here at KBTX alongside sports director Tyler Shaw, my roommate for the week.
Yeah, we're
travel buddy.
Going remote this week.
We are going from remote. Yeah. We are in the beautiful Tampa Mariott Water Street. One of the better hotels, one of the nicer hotels we've been in and a part of this whole media circuit that we've been around. I very much enjoyed my stay here.
I did too. I mean, the SEC usually takes care of us. We usually have some nice. I'm excited to go back to Nashville next week. That's a nice one too. Right there on Broadway.
I mean, let's just get right into that aspect of all this. We got to power rank the SEC media
venues,
days,
sites,
locations. Okay. Now that we've completed this one here. What do you think?
Okay, so depend, because there are a lot of factors that weigh into it. Mm-hmm. You know, because I got to dock points. You know, if we're going to Atlanta, I got to dock points for the amount you have to, how spread out it is.
Absolutely.
You know, if you want to go to the main room, well, you got to exit the hotel. Now you go down all these hallways to get to the College Football Hall of Fame, and then you got to run back to get to everything else. So.
It's a good block, maybe 2-block walk to get between the rooms.
Not close.
Yeah.
The best proximity is actually probably Birmingham.
I mean, right.
So if we're power ranking, I'm probably weighing in everything, probably going Nashville, number one.
Okay.
And that is because
that was pretty close proximity.
Pretty close proximity. Everything's on the same.
We only went once, so I'm trying to remember the layout.
Everything was on the same floor.
Yeah.
But it's also on Broadway, so you're staying right there. It was a nice hotel
where Tyler gets a nice Dr. Pepper.
Yep. Have a great Dr. Pepper. Have all the sodas I want.
And a hot dog.
Nashville's just a great city. I probably got to go Nashville one. It's not going to be popular amongst everybody else, but I'm going Dallas too. And that is mainly because it was convenient for us.
It was convenient for us.
We could drive in.
We were able to bring an extra.
You don't have to worry about making a flight.
No, we were able to bring that. That was my first one. We were bring I was about to say the late Morgan Weaver. She's very much still alive. She's not alive in KBTX land.
No.
You bring a third person. That was nice.
3 people was nice to have there. So that one's probably 2. I guess Atlanta, then Birmingham, because I mean.
Well, where did Tampa fit into that?
True.
See, I'll probably.
I might have to bump Tampa over Dallas.
I'll probably put Dallas number 1. I like Dallas.
Okay.
It was. Yeah. There was a lot to do. We can drive, so we have a car. We can go around and do some stuff. They had some cool events for us. I like Dallas. I'll put Dallas number 1.
Yeah.
I'll put Tampa number 2.
All right.
I liked the vibes here. It was a nice hotel.
We went on a boat ride.
We went on a boat ride. There was fireworks on a boat. That was kind of cool. We tried to steal a football.
You tried to steal a football and you were unsuccessful.
There was this media party and they had these nice ornate, centerpieces with those nice mini football helmets and footballs. I don't know why, but all of a sudden, all the media decided that we were just going to take them. Like, someone, I guess, heard, oh, this is for you. So people started snatching them. I was like, oh, I'm going to take a football then. And then a poor kid had to come walk around all of us and be like, oh, no, we need that back. And I went, oh, I was just carrying it high and tight.
I would have been a little bit more discreet about it. I mean, you guys were just, flashing it out there for, them to come.
We were just playing catch on the beach.
Yeah.
I'll go Tampa number 2, Nashville 3, Atlanta 4, Birmingham 5.
Yeah.
The setup in Birmingham is nice, but it's Birmingham.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot.
There's
to go
not a
out
whole lot
and do.
to do.
This was a
it
very
is-
laid back.
It is in a mall though, so if you,
Yeah, that is
If you
true.
want-
That is true. Now the whole setup in Nashville, like it's a fun go out and do. This was like a fun laid back. Like it had a great little hotel bar here. Good times were had. Like it was a good laid back vibe. I like a laid back vibe. So
Yeah,
that's my power rankings.
you can call it laid back vibe, but let's be real. There's not much laid back about SEC Media Days.
No,
I mean,
we are so
I mean,
tired.
let's be real. It is, well, now it's 16 teams. It used to be 14, but 16 teams. 64 people were interviewing, and not just like one interview. I mean, this is
Yesterday, just for A&M alone, we put together, and you can go see on KBTX.com right now, a what's it called?
Playlist
of all of the interviews done with all of just the A&M, just the 4 people for A&M that were here. There was 14.
Yeah.
14 videos. So you can go watch 14 videos of 14 interviews that were done with A&M players yesterday, and that's just one team.
No, it's a lot. Yeah. I mean, the players themselves are exhausted because they're going from room to room to room, getting asked the same questions over and over again, and trying to come up with different ways to answer them. And usually, sometimes it's a good thing because sometimes you do get something different somewhere else, and you can kind of get what you're looking for. Or sometimes they maybe weren't prepared for a question in one spot, then they kind of get it and have time to kind of rephrase it. So the more reps they get, I think the better for everybody it is.
Sure. What was your, of anything, I already know your answer for this. I'm just setting you up. What was your favorite question asked of the week?
Let's fast forward to a Saturday in September. It's hot.
You're in Kyle
You're
Field.
in Kyle Field in the tunnel. Hundreds, thousands of Aggie fans are
swaying.
screaming.
They're sawing it off.
swaying. You still get goosebumps. I will say, and we're laughing about it, but man, this
You have
media,
to explain this. Set the stage.
Okay, so this media member asked that question. Now, not obviously about Kyle Field, but every single player that came through there asked the same question: do they still get goosebumps? Before they've run out onto the field, and he'd say, in Ben Griffin Stadium, in the swamp, and it's hot outside, and the Gator fans are chomping, or at Arkansas, and they're
pigging.
Yeah, they're calling the pit, they're calling the hogs, and he set the stage, he painted a picture. He actually did it pretty well.
It got some pretty good answers.
It actually got some great answers. It was just funny to hear that over and over and over again, every single person. And yeah, again, got some good answers, and they would say, yeah, I still get goosebumps, and like, man, I love, they would describe their experience of running out of the tunnel, which is, some good color to have. Except for Colin Simmons from Texas was the only player all week that said, no, I don't get goosebumps. But his reasoning being, I'm at home, I'm comfortable there. The fans have my back. Like, I'm not nervous to play in front of my home crowd.
He may have kind of was thinking more butterflies than goosebumps.
Yeah, maybe he didn't understand the question. But he was thinking butterflies.
But we did get. We were pontificating all week of if we would get a no.
And we did.
And we did.
We got
so,
one no.
Mission accomplished. I felt like it was for everyone that was in that room, it was kind of going through all the stages of grief. Like first there was like anger, like why is he doing this? And then there was, accept, like it finally got to acceptance, and then at the end it was just like everyone was just like.
Well, yeah, I was about to say it was pretty much cheering at the end. It was like, yes, the goosebumps question, like fire me up.
Goosebumps for the goosebumps question.
Yes.
That was probably one of the highlights of the week for sure. Well, let's kind of break it down a little bit. I don't know if I can remember the order of all the teams
I probably should have brought
that went in every day. So I do have it on my phone. Monday, we went. We were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed here. Actually, had gotten some good rest before. It was Missouri, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Tennessee. That was kind of the slow day. I think John Mateer kind of headlined most of that, and Greg Sankey spoke that day. So
we got some stuff out of Sankey.
The state of that. That's kind of the biggest headline that probably came out of this SEC Media Days was the fact that Greg Sankey was asked, in these conversations about the future of college sports, what is there conversations happening around the SEC breaking off from the NCAA, from the college athletics framework as it exists, and making its own rules, making its own league, and just playing within its own boundaries, and splitting away. And they said, how real was the way that this was the way the question was asked, and he said, it's real. It is. People have opined on what that could look like because of the frustrations and everything going on. Now, as the day went on, he added context to that, saying, but it's not. There's still several steps to get to that point, several options that could keep from that nuclear option happening, and it's an option that he's tried to steer people away from.
It doesn't seem like there's a contingency in place and he's ready to push a button and boom, this is our plan and we're here. Like it did seem like he's trying to get away from that. So again, I think it's more of not a threat, but look, like we're kind of serious. Like if things don't go, if you keep pushing things the direction they are and it's not what we want, then maybe we don't need this.
Now, the context of all of this is that there's the leagues, the NCAA, the conferences, they can't enforce their rules right now. Because anytime a decision goes against a school or player, they go to court, they get an injunction. They can't enforce the rules. So they're trying to get Congress to pass legislation that will give them the ability, some antitrust exemptions, the ability to make a rule, enforce it, and not have to worry about a player or school suing because it is now a law on the books. The most recent foray into that is the Protect College Sports Act that Senator Ted Cruz was one of the authors of, and it passed the Senate Commerce Committee, which is as far as any of these bills have gotten. Excuse me, it's been such a week I can't stop yawning. It's waiting for its day on the Senate floor before it could try to then go to the House and whatever. The shot clock here is that at the beginning of August, Congress goes on a month-long, or the Senate goes on a month-long recess, and then after that, it's the strong push to midterm elections, and they're not going to have any time for NIL. Senator Thune today said he doesn't see there being enough time, according to reports, for this NIL bill to even have its time on the Senate floor. So it seems like time is running out on this, and they're not sure what's going to happen or what the next step is. Now, that's a little bit into the weeds, but because of all of this uncertainty and the SEC saying, well, there is this bill and parts of it we want to pass, but parts of it we don't want it to pass, and those parts are the things that claw back some of the power that the SEC and the Big Ten have and have gained since really 2020. I don't know. There is some serious concerns. The framework needs to happen. There needs to be some way for these institutions to be able to enforce their rules. But also, and this is what I wrote my column on Monday, the SEC and the Big Ten need to cede some of the power that they have gained over the last 10 or so years for the betterment of all of college sports, because they want to say out of one side of their mouth, they want to preserve college sports, but they also want to be able to make all the rules and be able to have all the leverage so that when things don't go their way, they can say, we're going to take our toys and run away and go play in our own sandbox.
Yeah,
so, I don't know. Would you even be interested in a breakaway SEC league?
Absolutely not.
Me either.
No, absolutely not. That's not good for anybody. I think just an unbiased look at, on stage, like no one wants to see that.
No.
We want to see national champions. I argue we need more involvement from outside of the SEC.
Right.
Yes, you have proven that the SEC is the best conference, but how legitimate is a title or whatever if it's 16 teams? and that's supposed to
And it even goes back to what Lane Kiffin was talking about a little bit today, and some of these coaches about the way that the College Football Playoff Selection Committee views home and away games in the SEC, and they want that strength of schedule. Well, this is like a problem of their own making because they consolidated a bunch of the biggest brands into 2 leagues that made it the hardest ever, and they want then to say, well, since we poached all the other leagues of some of their biggest teams, we want now also to have be viewed more favorably above all of them, so that we're creating this 2-conference super league quietly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean that's kind of what. Yeah. Exactly what they view it right now as almost a Power 2 structure. That's kind of what they're getting at is SEC, Big Ten, everybody else. But for the sport of college football, I don't want to see that.
No.
I like the involvement. Having other conferences have a shot, and I mean I think we're far beyond where everything was just regional, but one can hope, one can dream.
I wish it was long live the Southwest Conference.
Right.
I loved the regionality of all of that. So that was kind of the main thing Monday. John Mateer was probably a highlight of that day. I'm trying to think.
So 9 quarterbacks throughout the whole thing. A lot of them had stuff to say about Marcel Reed, Mateer being one of them. Kentucky went Monday, new head coach. So there are several new head coaches this year. I think that was kind of the highlight of Monday. Tuesday, we're getting into Auburn, Georgia, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina. One of our big focuses Tuesday, South Carolina, because of just the absurd game that Texas A&M South Carolina was last year. And we asked Shane Beamer about what happened. You were up 30-3 at halftime. What happened? And I think I had asked him that right after someone asked him about a big win last year, and he just kind of looked. He's like, "I liked her question better." Like, he didn't. I mean, but he did a good job answering the question. But obviously, bad memories if you're South Carolina.
It is interesting how, in the hindsight of last season, I would think, and I'm not saying that there isn't a strong consensus for this, but I would think like the defining game of the season was the Notre Dame game. Like what they were able to do at the end of the game, drive back, the venue it was in, the team that they were playing, the way that they won, and it certainly held its place in that season. But the more we've heard from some of the recruits that have committed to A&M this year, we were out at 7-on-7 talking to some kids who are getting recruited by A&M. And when you mentioned last season, they all pointed to the South Carolina game, saying, I believe it was one of the recruits this year, I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, said that's the best example. I want to go to a place that has good culture, and what better way to see culture in action than that kind of comeback in the second half where everything had to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like they went into the locker room, they had their discussions, they had their rah-rah, they run back out, and then they had to be perfect, and they were perfect. And so it was curious to hear kind of the other side of that a little bit because, that was a sad day if you were a Gamecock fan.
It was a historic day. I mean, that was the biggest, comeback in A&M history. Yeah, we've always talked about it from the A&M lens of the epic comeback. Well, talking about it through the South Carolina lens of that was an epic collapse. And kind of the story of their season a little bit, not to that degree, but they had several fourth quarter collapses that season where they were up and fell. South Carolina was actually the only team on Tuesday that A&M plays. That was probably the quietest day as far as A&M's opponents, because the other 3 teams, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Georgia, not on A&M's schedule. So yet another year that Georgia does not come to Kyle Field.
You want to real quick talk about?
Oh, was this Tuesday? No. Well, let's go to Wednesday.
No. Well, first, before we get to that, actually one of my favorite little anecdotes that we got from the week was talking to South Carolina wide receiver Nick Harbor, especially in this summer where we just got off of a World Cup. And the fact that his dad, Akuza Jannard Harbor, played for the U.S. men's national team. He had, I believe it was 12 caps for the U.S. men's national team. He was part of the inaugural draft, I believe, of the MLS. Played some soccer. He watched some World Cup watched games and talked to his dad on the phone during games.
Cool moment.
But it was kind of funny that he said he tried playing soccer when he was a kid, and his dad said, "You're not coordinated enough for this. Find something else."
Which is funny because he said he was 5, so his dad's already telling him at 5 years old.
Who is coordinated when they're 5? But it is interesting because we tweeted out that or posted out that video. I got a lot of comments from the U.S. soccer fans because there's this big conversation after the way that the World Cup ended for the U.S. about how the development system should be. And there's always that argument of, well, in America, our best athletes are playing football. Our LeBron Jameses are playing whatever. And this is kind of an example of he is a great athlete. He is going to play in the NFL. He had a soccer background, and the people in his life said, actually, soccer might not be your thing. Just kind of an interesting twist on that story.
No.
But the other thing, before we move on, so we're both looking at this note that I made on last Friday on our phones, where I kind of went through every player and coach and tried to find if there was any A&M, Brazos Valley interesting tidbits that we could ask about to create stories. I looked up and saw via the interwebs that Byron Brown, the new quarterback at Auburn, who transferred in from USF, went to the Manning Passing Academy, as did
he? Yeah.
pretty much all of the SEC quarterbacks. And Marcel Reed was there, and so we were asking a lot of these quarterbacks, hey, what was your interaction like with Marcel Reed at the Manning Passing Academy? You looked up on the Googles.
I did, because
you're fact checking me, which is good.
I'm trying to fact check, trying to be a good journalist. Because I just like there was the Goosebumps guy for a little bit, I think I kind of turned into the Manning Passing Academy guy, because I did ask every single quarterback that went. So I'm sure there were people rolling their eyes like, oh, this guy again asking about the Manning Passing Academy. Did get some good sound and good quotes on Marcel Reed, though, because
we're gonna kind of compile that when we get back.
A lot of people had some things to say about Marcel. Byron Brown, according to Travis's note, and in my fact check, according to Google, yes, he was at the 2026 Manning Passing Academy.
The problem is,
asked Byron Brown, how was the Manning Passing Academy experience? And do you know Marcel Reed? And
the problem with our research was it was wrong.
It was. Yeah, well, exactly. So I asked him that, and he looks at me and goes, I actually wasn't at the Manning Passing Academy. So I kind of had to scramble and, ask if he knows.
You recovered nicely. You rebound nicely. Got a good quote from him about just quarterbacks in the SEC.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, we kind of leaned probably a little too heavily on the Google AI at the top. I saw that there was articles linked, but and you did too. So we were gonna go back later and be like, no, but we saw this. It said it, and we
let me
Googled
prove it.
And it had changed.
It did. Did you take a screenshot?
I didn't. Did you? It basically said.
Oh, I did.
While some people...
It said Byron Brown did not attend the 2026 Manning Passing Academy, a fact that drew light media confusion during his appearance at SEC Media Days when a reporter, who knows who that was, mistakenly asked him about participating. So Google AI calling us out.
It's sentient. It knows. It just knows.
Yeah, there's AI in real time for you. Folks.
So that was fun. Moving on.
Wednesday was A&M Day.
Wednesday was A&M Day.
This was the big one.
The majority of what was the biggest A&M things to come out from A&M for you?
Well, going into it, the big one was Damian Sanford is there because, like we've talked about, we know he's injured right now. He's recovering from an injury. He was taken out of the spring game early, out in a stretcher. He had surgery. It was a fibula that he said, but he kind of reassured, wasn't a major injury. He's feeling good. He just started running. And Damian said, I'll be back. Well, we asked about timetable. Well, there is no timetable, and so still up in the air.
And a very unique situation to have a guy that has no timetable here at Media Days.
Yeah, because normally when you think of you bring 3 people to represent your program, they are pretty surefire week 1 starters.
Right.
Like if you're in the middle of a quarterback battle, you probably don't bring one of those quarterbacks if you don't know for sure he's going to start.
Right.
You know?
And I asked Mike Elko, like, this is kind of a unique situation. Like, you don't normally see this because usually players who are injured are kind of behind a veil of secrecy, which, I mean, it still kind of is with the way they answered it. But he said just because he's a leader on the team, he was elected a team captain, just because he got hurt in the spring game shouldn't negate the fact that he gets to come get dressed up nice and do this whole experience, which I thought was kind of refreshing, kind of a cool take on it, because there probably are guys who in the past were lined up to do something like this and got hurt. They didn't want them to have to deal with all those questions. They didn't get to bring them, and they get to miss out on this whole experience.
And I think they kind of view Damian Sanford as like the heir apprentice of Torian York, because Torian York was the leader of that defense. And I think they see Damian as having that kind of role, as just being the rally guy, and the mouthpiece for that defense. And
a strong Elko guy. We talked a lot about him, the fact that he was recruited by Elko when Elko was at Duke. And that he kind of was under the radar guy, and they thought they might be able to, get a sleeper. And then he kind of blew up and got some other offers and ended up at A&M and then reunited with Elko. But a guy last year that didn't necessarily have the fall he wanted, he said, but when Scooby Williams got hurt in the Notre Dame game, was able to step in, and then because of his play, he inked his name in the lineup. I mean, there was times Scooby battled with injuries back and forth, but couldn't get back on the field because Sanford was so good last year. Finished fourth on the team in tackles, had double-digit tackles for loss, I believe 3.5 sacks, was really, really good last year. The interesting part is he was disappointed because he had a bad fall leading up into the season, and that didn't really start things off right. Who knows how much of a fall he's going to have this year? We don't know when he's going to be fully back. The answer was soon. So we don't know. Someone talked to us, said, you're going to be back for the Lone Star Showdown, right? He said, oh, yeah, for sure. So we know he's going to be back for the last game of the season. Yeah. That's something we can confirm here on the Aggie Game Day Extra podcast.
Yeah. We don't know is he going to be there in the early season? We just don't know. So that was, I think, kind of the biggest, if you're getting down to the nitty-gritty of the A&M, storylines of what happened. That was kind of the big one. Another one was just Marcel Reed's presence.
Yes.
Because this was the first quarterback since Kellen Mond to come to media days. And I think that just speaks to the inconsistency that A&M's had at quarterback, the not being able to stay healthy for an entire season at quarterback for 7 years now.
Which you could relate back to bad offensive line play.
Which you could relate back to bad offensive line play because before last couple of seasons, I think of 2020 as being that last really good offensive line unit.
There was one of those years, I think maybe Jimbo's last year, where A&M allowed the most quarterback pressures of any Power 4 team in the country.
Yeah.
So,
and they're trying to right the ship now. They had a pretty solid line last year. They retained Cushing. We'll see what it looks like this year with all the pieces coming in. But
the thing that stood out to me was Elko might have had one of the lines.
That's true. Yeah, this was a good one.
The SEC Media Days. He was asked by a reporter in the main media room about kind of complacency, because that's something they talked about a lot, not wanting to be complacent, wanting to be more consistent, especially in the big games. But he said, that y'all made the playoff last year. What are you doing to make sure that your players just don't kind of rest on their laurels because you made the playoffs? And he said, that's easy. I point to the trophy case and it's empty. Yeah. And they know that. And that's not something that the players seem to back away from. One of their messages that they wanted to convey was the fact that they've won a lot of games, they've been successful, but they haven't won the big games. They haven't won the important games. And that is mainly the games against Texas that both years could have gotten them to the SEC title game. And then last year, the playoff game that was there for the taking at home in Kyle Field. So Mike Elko's done a good job of slaying demons. It was first the road SEC win. It was just road wins in general. It was the
ranked wins.
Road ranked
Notre
wins.
Dame.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was the November kind of slump, kind of finishing, which they at least crescendoed into. They had a historic start to the season last year, but then the next step in that progression is winning those big games. So it's going to be certainly interesting to see. And then the other one that we didn't touch on a lot, and we'll probably can get into more kind of in season preview, but there was a lot of talk about forcing more turnovers. They want to force more turnovers.
Damian talked about that a lot. He said, if we're going to be successful this year, we need to be consistent and we need to be forcing turnovers. Mm-hmm. It was funny, I was going through some of the footage to talk about this. One of the plays was Damian, breaking up a pass, but dropping an interception, and puts his hands up. And that was just kind of the theme a lot.
What game was that? Because I remember that was like a big talking point. He was mad at that.
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you, but I have video of that. And that was kind of a theme throughout last season, is like they're there, but like just can't capitalize and force those turnovers. So yeah, I do think that was kind of a big talking point of how do they take that next step. That's going to be and consistency, because while they did pretty good for, I would say 10.5 games, because the South Carolina game looked like that was going to be the start of the slump.
Starting to go downhill. They
had that magical half. Props to Texas A&M for what they did to get over that. But then after that, then you have the Texas and the Miami loss. They know that's the next big demon for them to slay, and they seem pretty focused on accomplishing that.
You delved into the best dressed of the group.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of you forayed into that, asking them who got your vote.
They all. So it was Damian Sanford, Marcus Ratcliffe, Marcel Reed.
It was a black suit, a blue suit, and an all maroon suit.
All maroon suit. I'd probably have to go. It'd have to be between Marcel and Marcus. I really did like the navy and the black. Mm-hmm. Marcus Ratcliffe's fit was just very clean. I liked it. I'd probably lean a little more Marcel, just of the bold. It was out. It was the all maroon, just your team colors. So that one probably. You too, man. Probably the best.
So famous right now.
Yeah, sorry. Our media cohorts are walking by. They're leaving. They're.
I know he just said bye to you, so.
So yeah, Marcel probably gets the slight edge just for the the whole A&M drip.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Marcel too, but my X factor was the embroidered Marcel Reed on the cuffs. That was a nice touch.
It's all in the details.
Yeah, so
he had the details down.
And then finally today, we had
Texas.
Texas was
LSU.
the big one, and LSU were the two big ones. Then Mississippi State and
Mississippi State and Arkansas.
Arkansas, yes.
Who is that telling of where we think they're going to finish in the
exactly.
We did. I didn't do. I don't know if you probably didn't either. We never did our finished our rankings.
No, I didn't get to do the order of finish.
The order of finish.
It is. I almost kind of wish they would send that out like next week or something, or the beginning, like last week, to kind of go through, because like when we're here.
So we're a little busy.
We're really busy, but I think they will probably be finishing at the bottom.
Arkansas new coach Ryan Silverfield. A lot of aura apparently is what everyone was.
That was a good comment.
Was talking about with him coming in from Memphis, and then now I forgot the other one that wasn't LSU in Texas.
Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby.
Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby. I think this is kind of a year for him, but it's kind of a make or break year.
As much of a hot seat, because there's so many new coaches, not a whole lot of hot seats left. He's probably one of the biggest. Him and Shane Beamer are probably the two biggest hot seats going into the season.
But his quarterback, Kamario Taylor, was actually a roommate with Marcel Reed at Manning Passing Academy. A lot of good things to say.
He was at Manning Passing Academy.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was. Google AI did not fail me there.
Or me, really.
Yeah, it was actually but yeah, obviously LSU and Texas were the big ones today.
Yeah. We delved into an interesting subject with Texas.
Yeah.
Probably one of the bigger stories that are tied to us this time was the Mike Elko taunting video that Texas put out on their video board after they won last year.
Yeah, it was. Well, it caught all of us off guard. I mean, I was actually shocked.
Were you? We actually literally just shot our 10 o'clock live look hit, and we kind of just did this. I kind of described where I was. I'll do that in a second. But where were you? How did you ingest all of this?
I was down on the field. I mean, the game was still going on. There's about 30 seconds. So I'm waiting to do what I call the coach's kiss. It's where at the end of the game, the two head coaches run to the middle of the field, do a quick handshake and off. And I usually like to get video of that moment and subsequent moments afterwards of celebrations or disappointment or whatever, what may be on the field. So I mean, the game's over at this point because it was a 10-point game, and there's 30 seconds left on the clock. So I'm waiting for that, and all of a sudden I just hear Mike Elko's voice.
It was really loud.
What is going on? And I looked up, and it's on the video board, and it's the clip of him saying, Texas A&M is the flagship university of the state. He did misspeak. I mean, he explained later, Mike Elko, that he meant to say is a flagship university, as in both Texas and Texas A&M are flagship universities. But that quote was up there, blaring over the speakers on the Jumbotron, and then it's an edit, and it goes, psych! And it's just, Arch Manning dancing and, players celebrating and all things. So it got the crowd fired up. Obviously something premeditated and put together, ready for them to win.
It's not something I'd ever, like, you have started to see the trolling, the shots fired on social media.
It's very social media-esque. Like, that seemed like something I would scroll on TikTok and find.
Right. It wasn't that it was like
from the university, an official thing
on
that's
the
in
screen.
Stadium. And because of that, it caught me off guard. And my initial thought was, well, was that distasteful or was that funny? Like, I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I think if it was, I was just scrolling on social media, it'd be okay, funny. Like that's pretty good troll job. But I think the distasteful part came into my head just because it was such an official.
And the game wasn't even over yet.
That too.
Like, there was still 29 seconds. So like, if they had done final score and they fired the cannon and the players from and then they played it.
That's different.
That's a little different. But they just turned the ball over. It was over, and then they play it so loud. And I was over the side, and it was just so jarring. Like, you're like, what is happening that just Mike Elko's on the screen at DKR? Yeah. It was crazy. It was crazy. So you asked Sark about it.
I asked Sark. I said, hey, this happened. What did you think about that moment? And he didn't even let me finish asking my question. I was still in the middle of asking it, but he knew what I was getting at. So he just goes, I did not like that. And then repeat himself, I did not like that.
And he gave you one of these.
I was, as a reporter, he cut me off. As a reporter, you want to, you always want to feel it out, but you don't want to cut somebody off. You kind of want to let them, breathe.
Lay out.
Lay out a little bit. And that's what I was doing. He was very short with it. I did not like it, but I didn't know if he was going to expound on that. So I just kind of waited, and he did kind of that. And I realized that's all he was.
For those listening, it's kind of like a shrug or like a what, kind of like, I don't know, man.
Like that was all he was going to say. So then it kind of followed up right after that. Luckily, I still had the microphone in my hand. Like, what do you, I don't remember what I said, but something about the rivalries.
Yeah.
Like, what has your experience been like the last 2 years with the Lone Star Showdown? Then he went into how much he respects Texas A&M and how much he respects rivalries. And kind of the whole, he thought this was going to be one of those karma things where, like, you don't tempt this, you
kind of you lose well, you win well.
You win with respect. You good game. That they were a good opponent. You don't make fun of them. You don't. He was he just did not like the optics of what Texas did. So I'm sure officials and people and communications and everybody probably got an earful from Sark after that one.
Yeah, for sure. We'll turn out the lights.
As the lights go out.
We're that probably is a sign that we should probably wrap this up. We didn't talk a little bit Lane Kiffin.
Oh yeah.
LSU Lane Kiffin. He filibustered in the main room. The longest opening statement of this SEC Media Days went I think, pretty close to 30 minutes. So there's only time for 4 questions after that in there. Got real philosophical in there. Someone who asked about, in the Vanity Fair article he did, talking about his move, he said one of the reasons why that held his recruiting and the development of a roster there was kind of the diversity of Oxford. And let's ask, does he kind of still stand by that, or would they have been better if he thought it would have been better? And he talked about watching the Hulk Hogan documentary and how he realized that we all die.
Yeah.
Which is a true fact. But he then kind of just went into like this weird in the weeds, basically. You say some things, sometimes you regret them, but you can't dwell on it too long because it's not that important. I don't really know. It was weird. He's also given up social media. So he seems like a much more zen kind of Lane Kiffin, but a Lane Kiffin that in his maybe past life of social media and stuff had a really fun time taunting and poking Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M, but it also seems this new zen Lane Kiffin might have a newfound respect for LSU.
Yeah,
I mean, for
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Yeah, and it probably has to do with different head coach in there, and,
Correct.
and someone he has no beef with Mike Elko, likes what he does, likes what he's about, the kind of coach he is. He even called him a good CEO coach. Said in order to win, you need to be a good CEO, and Mike Elko is exactly that. So yeah, it is kind of interesting because we are just so used to Lane Kiffin taking his jabs any chance he can, and there were no jabs given.
Yeah, him talking about A&M needing a luxury tax for that 2022 class, and then Jimbo Fisher calling him a clown show.
Yeah.
Then they won, and he said, "Where's my clown suit?" And he's telling players, "Why don't you go ahead and get down and act like you're hurt during the game?"
Yeah.
Like, it was this great back and forth between them, but it's just all love now, it seems like.
They haven't played yet, though. It's still LSU and A&M. There's still some animosity with the two programs, so just give it some time. Maybe then Lane will have his shots.
Right now, A&M has the number 1 recruiting class in the nation, much like that 2022 class.
Yeah.
And A&M is coming off a trip to Tiger Stadium last year where they won for the first time since 1994, cleared out the stadium, and basically took over Tiger Stadium, which is just not something that you see on a Louisiana Saturday night.
Yeah, it'll be that September 26th in Death Valley. That's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be talking about what happened last time, and yeah, exactly how they took it over, and it was mini Kyle Field there. At Death Valley.
I mean, the only really thing Lane got into about the transition is I think it was Barry Trammell from the Tulsa World asked him about, like, do recruits, players, coaches that he's trying to bring on staff, do they have questions about a guy who left his team in the middle of the season when they went on we were going to go on a playoff run to go take this job? And he basically said no, because they understand. They want to come to LSU too. They understand why I came to LSU, and they want to be a part of that. So
that's fair.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm tired, dude.
That is that's a little rundown of our week. It was a lot. We're exhausted. We starting work a lot earlier than we are used to.
A lot earlier, and going a lot
later than we're used to.
It's a continuous haul here.
Around the clock, yeah.
So, we.
So let's get back to College Station.
Well, you get back. I'm gonna hang out a few more days.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's gonna be good. We have so much content from this week already on KBTX.com. You can go there. Like I said, all 14 of those interview videos are up from A&M, plus all kinds of breakdowns, and then we will continue to roll stuff out that we picked up while we were here over the next few weeks leading up into the start of football season, which, if you want to talk about fall camp, is like 2 weeks away.
It's all coming up quick.
We have officially kicked off the football season.
Yeah.
And we're going to be heading into all that entails coming up. So thank you so much for listening. Be sure to, like I said, to check KBTX.com to find all we got here and keep tuned in. We'll be back next week to start really delving into previewing this A&M football season and all that entails. So for Tyler Shaw, I'm Travis Brown. This is the Aggie Game Day Extra podcast. We'll see you next week.